if you spill something on it, it will just soak straight in. It will stain the leather. What leather needs is less product more often. Once every 2 to 3 months with a little bit of product will go much longer way than trying to do too much less often. What customers want and what people want is they just want it looking like new for as long as possible, especially with, I'm buying this car, this is my budget, and I want to have leather. Right, but I don't want to pay extra for leather seats. I want it to be included as standard. So what manufacturers started doing is,
my guest today is Ram Iyer. Ram is the owner of Geist Product. In this episode, you can expect to learn how to identify real leather and vinyl, how to clean your leather properly, how to maintain it, what product to use, how to protect it, and much more. So before we jump in, click on the subscribe button, join the House of Rags family, and let's get into the video. Okay, Ram, so as the leather care brand owner, what is the most common and most annoying misconception or mistake that detailer or leather care people do in general?
most common myth, did you say?
Yeah, misconception that you hear all the time that annoys you.
I think one of the misconceptions that I would think is that most people, I would say that feel that steam cleaning leather. They seem to think that it's a safe way of cleaning leather, whereas I think that is a very high risk way of cleaning leather. That's just my personal opinion. I think I've been speaking about it in so many different places for years now, but people still have this thing of wanting to steam clean leather, and I just don't understand why someone would want that. I don't know. Is it really that much quicker, or is it the show element of it? But the risk is quite high when you use a steam on leather, especially automotive leather. So yeah, that has been something that I've been battling for years, but that doesn't seem to go away. People ask that question, we talk about it, and I've spoken about it many times with so many different people. But then it keeps coming back. There's always that question.
Yeah, I guess some people they see some videos online and they think maybe they're gonna be more efficient or cut corners while using a steamer. Is it because there's too much water, or is it the heat problem associated with the steamer?
It's the combination of the two. It's heat and moisture is a combination of the two, that can really affect leather. And I've heard so many people say that, yeah, I've steam cleaned leather and I did not have any issues. Yeah, what I'm saying is there's no. I'm not saying that if you steam clean leather, you will always have problems, but it's a very high risk strategy, right? If you want to, if you're walking and you want to cross a road and with a blindfold on, you can do it and you might be safe, but it's a high risk strategy. I wouldn't necessarily do that. That is all I'm saying.
Yes,
Because heat and moisture together can shrink leather. You can pull the tanning agents out of it. There's just so many things that can go wrong with it. So when you weigh up the benefits versus the possible downside, it's just not worth it.
no, and we have so many good chemicals and tools nowadays. I don't think that is really
Yeah.
needed, even for the worst leather. So I can't wait to dive more into those type of details with you. But first off, so Ram, you're the leather expert, especially in car detailing. But can you tell me and tell us the audience, why should we listen to you? How did you get into the leather or leather care industry in general? How did you get into detailing?
This was back in, I think, 2010, 2011. I used to help a friend of mine who had just started a detailing business. And I was looking for some kind of a business opportunity as well to get into. I used to help him out, but he would always have issues with leather, with like pen marks on leather or something. And he was never really sure about how to go about fixing it or what to do with it. It was a problem that he would almost just sort of always ignore. And because I was looking for an opportunity as well, so I started looking more into that. And that's how my journey into leather began. I came into contact with various different companies. I started speaking to people, asking people, started trying things out myself, and then eventually started my business around sort of cleaning, repairing, restoring leather, and just went sort of deeper into it.
So that was not specifically detailing. Was that like leather in general for maybe the house,
Well,
or was it just
it
specific
started with
cars?
automotive. It started with automotive, but then very quickly, it branched out into various different types of leather. So initially, I think for the first year, 2 years, I was just doing automotive stuff. But then after that, as I started progressing more into it, we started getting inquiries from various different places. We had like hotel chains, restaurants, where we'd done work. We had people with furniture in their homes who would contact us, say, "How can you fix this?" or "Can you come and fix this for us? Can you come and fix that for us?" So there was a very steep learning curve for me in terms of using the skill, obviously learning, making mistakes, things going wrong. But then despite doing all of that, for one reason or the other, I've always gravitated more towards the automotive side, just because I think I just have a bit more of a liking towards the automotive sector personally.
Are you a car guy or some sort, or do you like to do detailing in general, or just about leather?
No, I'm very much about leather. I've
Okay.
tried to go into detailing, but I don't think I have the patience for it. You know, yeah, I'm a father of two kids as well now, so I think
Mhm.
my Sunday afternoons are busy with other things, and I can't. I think I don't think my kids and my family would be too pleased if I spent all of my Sunday just cleaning my car.
Well,
And it probably won't stay clean for too long also, you know.
but are you a car guy in general, or you simply, or you don't really love cars?
I like cars. I'm not a car fanatic.
Okay, it's not your passion.
Yeah, it's not my passion. I'm an enthusiast. Of course, I love cars. But yeah, I'm not, it's not my passion. Yeah,
You kind of found your niche within detailing for car leather, right?
that's
Good.
correct. Yes.
So is the furniture or house leather, is it the same thing at what we have in our cars?
No, not necessarily. There's obviously other types of leather as well, and those other types of leather you come across. You hardly come across those types of leathers in the automotive sector, right? Those type of leathers you come across more in the furniture sector, the home sector. People with bags, shoes, belts, things like that. That is where you come across a lot more of those different types of leather, like aniline leather, semi-aniline leather, suede, nubuck, all those kind of things you come across more so in those other markets than automotive.
So those leather for the furniture industry, sometimes they don't have the top coat to protect it.
Hmm.
They're more sensitive to water and stains and scratches, if I can say that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, more sensitive to staining in general. Because if it doesn't have any sort of a protective finish on the top, on top of the color layer, which it doesn't even have color most of the times, it's just dyed. There's a difference between dye and paint. So this aniline leathers, semi-aniline leathers that you've got, often just have a very thin layer of dye, and no protective finish, or a very thin layer of protective finish.
Does it give is it more attractive for their potential customer to have a leather like this, or should they do leather for the house just like we have in the cars?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, aniline leather is different. It has different characteristics. It has a warm touch. It develops character and patina much quicker. It has that lived-in look much faster. Whereas with automotive leather, a lot of the times, what customers want and what people want is they just want it looking like new for as long as possible. And if you want that with an aniline leather, it's going to be very difficult. Especially with spillage and things like that, and to the fact that with aniline leather, you can't really clean it. You know, because if you spill something on it, it will just soak straight in. It will stain the leather, and then if you want to clean it, well, what are you going to clean it with? You can't take a leather cleaner and just clean it, because the risk is that you could make the stain bigger.
Okay, so can let's dive into the type of leather. So you said that you can clean the aniline leather. Is aniline leather the treatment, or it's just a completely different type of leather compared to what we have in the cars? In the cars, is it semi-aniline?
Okay, so first things first is, in order to differentiate the different types of leather, um, I'm just going to make it very as simple as I possibly can, right, without trying to use a lot of jargon. So you can get different types of leather. You can classify different types of leather. One, based on the animal that it comes from. So you can say it's cow leather, it's elephant leather, it's stingray leather, shark leather, whatever, right? Um, or that is obviously there, but for the purpose of our understanding, we're just going to assume that most of this leather comes from cow leather, right?
Okay.
Or bovine leather, right? Now, when it comes to the different types of leather, we're really looking at what part of the skin of or the hide of the animal we are using, right? And um, this is the most important thing: is how it is finished, right? By by saying how it is finished, I mean, does it have a layer of primer, paint, and top coat, which is, let's say, a lacquer, right? For want of a better word, top coat. Or does it just have, it has no primer, it has no paint, it has no top coat, it just has a dye or maybe no dye whatsoever, right? That is, so it has zero protection. It's just the 100% natural material, with no sort of paint essentially on the surface or pigment on the surface. That is aniline leather, right?
Okay.
So it's just been finished in a different way, right? And let's say a middle point or a halfway house between aniline leather and pigmented leather would be semi-aniline leather, which has a very thin layer of paint applied on it, right, to offer some level of protection, but it also retains a lot of the characteristics of aniline leather. Where so in I think the main difference you could say it with aniline leather is almost like paper. When you drop water, it soaks in straight away. Whereas with semi-aniline leather, you maybe have to rub it in and then it sort of goes in. Whereas with automotive leather, it's not, you won't visibly see it going in, right? You will be able to clean it with a leather cleaner, wipe it off, and that's absolutely fine. Whereas with aniline leather, you can't really do that. And then you have suede and nubuck, which are sort of derived from the flesh side of the leather, right? They're velour surfaces, sanded surfaces, that is slightly different, and each type of leather has a different characteristic to it, so suede and nubuck, just like aniline leather, are porous, are absorbent, but they have a nap on the surface. So I think a classic example of nubuck leather would be something like Timberland boots. I don't know if you came across
Yeah, yeah,
Timberland boots.
sure.
That is your nubuck leather, and they have great properties because they keep your they have high insulating properties, so they keep your feet warm, but at the same time, because they're breathable, you don't sweat in it, right? So
Yeah.
those are some of the advantages. That's why suede shoes and nubuck shoes are quite popular during the winter months, because people want to be warm. People don't want to sweat while they wear. That is. So those are, sort of the main different types of leather. But in essence, it's derived. I think the names come from what part of the skin and the hide you're using, and two, how that part or part of the skin is finished. Does it have paint or no paint? Does it have top coat or no top coat?
So generally speaking, in the cars we have automotive leather, right?
Yeah. So in cars, you have something called as pigmented leather, which is
Pigmented leather.
uh, yeah, which is basically a layer of primer. They spray that first on top of the leather once it's ready. that is like an adhesion promoter. They then spray a layer of paint on top, right? And obviously, to protect that paint layer, they spray a protective finish called a top coat, right? These are synthetic polyurethane made
Okay,
top coats.
sure. So a top coat, just like the
Yeah,
paint, there's a primer, paint, and clear coat. So that makes sense.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Very, very
it,
similar to car body,
yeah.
but obviously these products, these layers that are sprayed on, they have to have completely different characteristics. It's similar to car body, but it has a lot of differences as well.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that coming soon. But in the higher end cars, do they have pigmented leather, or they have something else like semi-aniline leather? For example, on a Rolls Royce or maybe a Ferrari. My product recommendation for this week is Geist Leather products. So despite not having the chance to try these products, I fully stand behind Ram and Geist products. These people have been in the leather care industry for a very long time. I fully trust their products. So go check it out on the houseofrags.com and .ca. Use the coupon code DOGMA to save you some money. And let's get back into the video. No,
No,
it's all pigmented leather
no, a lot of it, I mean, I'm talking about 99, 98, 99% of automotive leather is pigmented leather, right?
because
Because
that
it makes sense, right? Because it's easy to
yes,
clean, it's durable, you can maintain it. If there's something wrong with it, you can fix it. So, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? But
yeah,
yeah, I think the quality comes from, or you might touch one type of leather in a Rolls Royce and feel that, oh, it's extremely soft, it's this and that. And that's just derived from, you can have different levels of quality within pigmented leather because of the grip and the touch and, the grain structure. Is it very, very smooth? Does it have a
mhm,
very coarse grain structure? All those things to the end user give a different feel of what that leather is like. But in essence, they're all classed under pigmented leather. I'm not saying there isn't any different types of leather, but the only other leather that you might see is probably something like in the North American market. I think a lot of people are familiar with the King Ranch leather.
mhm.
That was, which I think they've changed now. I think it's no longer aniline in the newer models, but certainly at one point in time, it was aniline leather. And I'm sure everyone has seen, or most people have seen photographs of a used King Ranch leather, how it looks completely stained after being used for a long time, right? And that's what I meant. Like that type of leather to put in a truck is not the best idea because it has no protective layer. So it is going to stain easily, and
Yeah.
once it's stained, you can't really clean it. You know,
And when you open your door and maybe the rain comes in a little bit, so that's the recipe for a
exactly.
disaster.
Yeah.
So what are the signs that leather is dirty or leather is damaged for the pigmented leather?
So, in automotive terms, when we're speaking about automotive terms,
Yeah.
most of the times when you see leather that is, if you see a leather that is shining, right, that is a sign that the leather just needs to be cleaned a little bit. Because most automotive leather, modern day automotive leather, is designed. The top coat that is used has a matte finish, right? And the shine usually comes from the buildup of dirt that's been rubbed in. That's why you get the shiny look. So that is one classic sign of saying, okay, yeah, it needs to be clean.
Okay. And what is the key takeaway to differentiate leather and vinyl or fake leather, or what is it called? Leatherette, maybe. Sometimes Volkswagen call them leatherette.
Leatherette. Yeah, I
So
mean, there's so many words used for it, leatherette, PVC, vinyl, MB-Tex leather, Tesla leather, or, Tesla call it vegan leather. So many different words for it. But the way to differentiate, obviously, artificial leather is basically a polyurethane um, foil, like a very, very thin foil that is glued onto a backing material, right? So when you look at that, Um, in most cases, it's much thinner than real leather. The thickness is not the same, right? Artificial leather is much thinner than most genuine leathers that are used for automotive,
Okay.
right? So it is hard because even a lot of manufacturers use artificial leather in the non-contact areas of the car seat. So if, let's say, on the back of the seat, so if this is my, let's say, if this is my car seat here, the back part here would be, they would use artificial leather, whereas on the
Hmm.
front part here, where my back actually comes into contact, they would use genuine leather. So it's becoming the differences are getting harder and harder to tell. But the if you can, the easiest way would be for you to be able to see the underside of the material, because when you see the inside of the material, you can tell straight away that, okay, this is not genuine leather. Of course, the other way would be that you could try and sort of fold it, a little bit, and on artificial leather, because it's thinner, more often than not you get sort of a straighter line, whereas on leather you get more of a bend. That is if the leather is much thicker, right? Because sometimes leather can also be quite thin, um, and made to be thin. Then the other main issues are the kind of damage that you see on an artificial leather versus real leather are very, very different, right? So with real leather, you would most of the time see bolsters in the car where you get in and out. You would see that the bolster is slightly worn, the color is starting to go off, right? Whereas on vinyl, when you see the kind of damages, it's usually like a long rip,
Hmm.
right? It's a long rip across the heavy pressure areas. So where you actually sit, right there on the side, usually there's a long rip. That is a very classic problem on vinyl seats, right? Um, and in terms of being able to repair that and fix that, you can't really do that with any sort of DIY product. If you want a reasonable result, that is mostly a job for a professional. Um, and again, even for professionals, it's not so easy, to get a very sort of a seamless, invisible repair.
Mm.
Most of these kind of damages, if you take that to a professional, more often than not, the answer you would get is, look, I can try to fix it, but I don't know how much better it's going to look. It will look better than what it looks now, but I don't know how much better. Will it be perfect, invisible? I don't know until I start working on it. And then the second thing would be, I just don't know how durable, how long it will last, this repair that I do. And I think for those reasons, it makes sense to choose real leather,
Okay.
you know, because real leather is a much more durable, much more long lasting than artificial leather.
Really? I thought the other way around because my wife has leatherette in her Golf, and it feels
Yeah,
thicker. I have the
yeah.
merino leather on my BMW, and mine feels
Mm.
smooth and thinner, maybe, but maybe I could be wrong. But her has a long
No,
rib.
look, there is, yeah. And how old is the car?
Yeah, so her car is 9 years, and mine is almost 4 years now. So mine is more recent. But to differentiate the vinyl and the real leather, you have to have the eye, the feel to really know what you're talking about in the end,
Yeah,
right? There's no clear
absolutely. Yeah,
sign,
yeah.
no clear giveaway for a beginner or someone who doesn't have no knowledge at all.
It's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult. It's hard because even today, even the when I say the replica, I'm really talking about artificial leather. They're so um, well made,
Yeah.
because they're there to fulfill a purpose, right? They're trying to take the place of genuine leather by selling, something that is not leather, and of course using, reasons for it. But yeah, it's becoming harder and harder, and especially for someone who's new, who's never, who doesn't know, doesn't have the knowledge. It's hard to tell, if it's genuine leather or artificial leather.
Oh, Okay, so with that being said, after 3 to 4 years, real leather would start maybe with the wear and tear would start to you would see the crack lines or the lines versus vinyl would not really change appearance other than staining maybe, right?
Yes, yeah, you're right. Vinyl will not change appearance. But you know, you can go. So there's vinyl and there's vinyl, right? If you go back to really old cars, like maybe classic American cars, right? They have vinyl and they do not get damaged. Why? Because you know they were allowed to use certain chemicals in them that are no longer allowed to be used. So those vinyls that were made back in the day were much stronger, right? But the vinyls that are coming out today, because a lot of these chemicals are not allowed to be used, the vinyls are just not that strong. So in Europe, where we're based, you know, Volvos are quite common, quite popular, and I've seen a lot of Volvos which have artificial leather, you know, seats made out of artificial leather in them, and they rip, you know, very very quickly. I've seen cars which are 1 year old, 2 years old, and they have those issues.
Oh, really? I was in my mind I was going to say that for the average Joe, you should pick vinyl instead of leather because I thought it was more durable. But with what you just said, that's really eye-opening. So you mentioned that with the nowadays the chemical restraint and the rules around making vinyl, the new vinyl is cheaper than what it used to be. And so nowadays we should choose a real leather instead.
Yeah, look, I think this is just my theory, right? I obviously don't know, but based on what I have
Okay.
seen, when somebody wants to go and buy a car, right? Most people want to have leather interior, right?
Mm-hmm.
But most people do not want to pay a premium for it, also, right?
Yeah,
Uh, I'm buying this car, this is my budget, and I want to have leather, right? But I don't want to pay extra for leather seats. I want it to be included as standard. So what manufacturers started doing is they started giving you a cheaper quality. Yeah, okay, you don't want fabric seats, you want leather seats, fine, we'll give you something that looks like leather seats, but it's not real leather. But okay, as a customer, you know, you're
it's
happy.
cheap.
And they call it, yeah, they call it, this is fitted with, I don't know, vegan leather or MB-Tex leather. And people think like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm still getting leather. But technically, you should not be able to, these manufacturers should not be allowed to use the word leather after these words, because you're sort of you know, you're tricking the customer a little bit. You know, someone who doesn't have the knowledge, and you're telling them that, oh, you're still getting, you know, you're getting MB-Tex leather, or you're getting vegan leather. Now you're thinking I have leather seats, but technically it's not leather seat. It's not real leather, right?
Yeah, you're right. But they look good now. They used to have like texture grain, but the one that I've seen in BMW, I think well, when I was shopping for a car, they used to call it Sensatec, and it looks
Sensitive,
pretty
yeah.
good. And BMW has two type of leather, so Merino being the top line, and the one just under it used to be called Dakota leather, and now,
Dakota,
yeah,
Dakota, yeah.
that one
Now
has,
it's called Nevada as well, yeah. I
yeah,
think there was
that one
Nevada, there
has
was Dakota, yeah.
like very thick grain,
Yeah,
big
it has a
texture
heavy
that,
grain structure.
yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. But again, that is just the texture. That is just the grain structure that is artificially embossed on it. You know, the merino one is very smooth.
the grain is not natural.
Some of the grain is natural, but a lot of it, especially on pigmented leather, can be artificially embossed. You know,
Okay.
because again, you know, if you look at leather is a natural material, so it will have inconsistencies, right?
Yeah.
You know, there will, you know, no two parts of the skin will always be 100% the same. But the customer doesn't want that. They want real leather, but they don't want any imperfections, which is also hard, right?
Hmm.
We all want the natural material, but we don't want to have any imperfections. I want all the seats looking the same. That is
Yeah.
what the customer wants. So it's hard. And with pigmented leather, of course, because they have a primer, paint, top coat, then it's artificially embossed. You know, it's like
Okay.
a stamp that goes across everywhere.
So they would do that to hide the defects or the difference in texture and look. It would just be more
Yeah,
even,
and to
or
give, yeah, and to present something that is a uniform material, So most tanneries would do these things based on what their customer wants. So if their customer is, I know, a big automotive manufacturer, and they say, look, we want to have two types of leather, one which is a heavy grain structured leather, and the other one which is a very smooth leather, then they would do that, artificially emboss a heavier grain structure on one type and give a smoother structure on the other, right? So
Okay.
tanneries really can adjust to
So
this
they want
depending
you
on
to
the
pay for
customer's
the
needs.
smooth leather, right? So that's an upsell, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right.
Okay, so let's get into the cleaning part of leather, which is your big expertise with Geist. Let's say it's never been cleaned. So how would you start cleaning it? And then talk to me about maintenance and how often should I maintain my leather?
Okay, so this depends on. I have some questions before I can answer that better. How
Okay.
old is the leather? Yeah, and how dirty is the leather? Is it really dirty, or and how old is it?
Okay, so that would be a different process. Okay, let's start with the new leather. Got a brand new car, and it's getting like the grease from my hands or my clothes. How
Yeah.
would you keep that up the maintenance with it?
Yeah, look, I would do it. I would clean it once every 2 months, right? Once every 2 months, you clean it. If it's a brand new car, you drive it daily, but it doesn't get used a lot as well. Yeah, once every 2 months should be enough for a clean and protection. 2 to 3 months even, right? For a cleaning and protection process. And again, because it's a brand new car, I'm assuming it's not too dirty, right? I am also assuming that you're not in an area which has extremely high heat and sunlight and things like that, right? So in the first 3 to 3.5 years, I would just be sticking to. Depends also on the color of the leather, right? So if it's a very very light colored leather, you would probably want to clean it more often because you're more worried about it staining and things like that. And even
Mhm.
the smallest signs of dirt will probably show more often. Um, but I'd clean it once every 2 to 3 months. I would use a very mild cleaner. Obviously, I'm going to plug Geist in here
Yeah,
because
sure.
that's my only reference point. That's my only reference point at this point. We have a plant-based cleaner, plant and algae-based leather cleaner. You can use that, and that is a perfectly safe cleaner to use with a pH of about 6. You can pour it. It comes in a spray bottle, so you can either spray it directly onto the leather. Obviously, test in a hidden area first. Make sure there's no untoward damage. But if there's no untoward damage, just spray it. Spray a very thin layer and start cleaning. You can spray it onto the foam. We supply foam blocks within our kit, so you can foam spray directly onto the sponge, right, and then clean it slowly. Allow it a little bit of time, 5 minutes of dwell time. So because it's a plant-based product, it has this capability. It's designed to lift soiling, so that way you don't have to rub too aggressively if you just give it time, right? So when you clean leather, it's all about uh, uh, you know uh, the chemistry that you're using. Is it are you using heavy pressure with your hands? The chemicals that you're using, how strong they are, that also has an impact on your cleaning process, right? So as long as you use a relatively mild cleaner for a perfectly new car, pH of about 6ish, we should be fine. Clean it once every 2 to 3 months, and then apply a product that protects against two main things. Obviously, if you have a light colored leather, like white or cream or something like that, there is a risk that dye from clothing and jeans and things like that can transfer onto the leather. So you want to have a product that protects against that, and friction damage, right? Getting in and out. That obviously, can cause some level of damage. So, it can cause the top coat to be eroded off. So you want a product that protects against that. And for the first 3 years, if you follow that routine, should be absolutely fine.
Okay. But for me, I noticed that my leather steering wheel and the seats, they get the color, the finish change. So once it's clean, it's perfectly matte, like I like it. It's not too long before the steering gets greasy, and the base of
Yeah.
my seat, after maybe 2 to 3 weeks, starts to look blotchy, a little bit darker in some areas.
Uh-huh.
So it usually end up cleaning it, the steering wheel maybe every week with a detailer, and the seat
Yeah.
maybe once a month. Would you say that is too much?
Um, Look, I mean, as long as you're using a safe product, you're not going to cause any damage. Using a safe product, you're using a safe method, you're not going to cause any damage. So, as long as you're doing those two things, just clean whenever you feel like cleaning.
Okay.
There is no issues there.
And what about the tool that I'm using? I'm rotating between like a scrub pad, a scrub ninja, right?
Hmm.
You know what I mean by those?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sometimes I'll use the Geist brush with the synthetic fibers, or sometimes I'll just use a microfiber towel. So I'm just afraid of the friction, maybe, or over scrubbing it. Not in one instance, but over time, I'm afraid to, especially at the stitches or where the leather is rounded and stitched, right?
Yeah, look, I think if you're cleaning it once a week, I don't think you need to use something like the Geist brush or the Scrub Ninja. Use a piece of sponge. That would
Okay.
still give you the same result, especially if you're using a safe quality product, a good enough cleaner. Because um, if you just use the Scrub Ninja or the brush, even with water, just normal water, you could cause damage because it's the pressure with your hands that is causing the top coat to erode. And if you're cleaning it every week, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
Do you
So
see what I mean?
yeah, of course, that's what I was worried about. So the sponge, or it's like a kind of a thick foam, right? That you have.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it more gentle than
It's
a
a thick.
microfiber towel?
I think so. Microfiber generally tends to grab a little more. So if you just use a smooth cloth, that is also fine. Um, you know, um, Yeah, just be gentle because you're doing it often enough, and that should get you the result. I mean, we have a plant-based degreaser, right, which removes surface level grease, right? It's a plant-based product. You can use that. That should help,
Is
remove
that the
some grease
rapid?
from the surface.
Is that your
No, it's
rapid
uh, it's
cleaner?
called no, no, it's called D1. It's called D1, Degreaser One.
Okay.
It's a plant-based degreaser. So Rapid is the plant-based, right? Plant-based leather and vinyl cleaner. But we have a product called D1 degreaser, which is a plant-based degreaser,
Okay. So that's
right?
stronger.
And that does
That's
not. No, it's not stronger. It's a degreaser. If all you're concerned about is just grease and you don't want to rub, I'm saying try that because with that you just have to wipe and it removes grease from the surface
okay.
because there's no
Got it.
dirt there. You just Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
I must say that it has a bit of a strong smell to it because it's a natural product. But the smell goes away. The smell's not going to stay in your car. But obviously, the first time when you smell the product, it's got a bit of a strong smell to it.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. So that's just the sweat of the hands that just annoys me because it changed the look of the leather,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And for the really dirty leather, would you what's the process with Geist to restore super neglected leather before going to the maintenance part of leather cleaning?
So obviously, I'm assuming that when you say super neglected leather, there could be again, right? So the age and the condition that is what determines what we do with it, right? If it's very very old leather and it's extremely the condition is that it's dirty but it's really dry as well, and we need to restore it, then I would follow a slightly different process, right? Because now it's an old leather, it's extremely dry, which means it's probably like cardboard almost, right? So I'd have to clean it, but I'm not going to clean it with a lot of water. right? Because if I make it very, very wet, it likely has no top coat left. So a lot of water is going to penetrate. So it's going to make it more brittle, which I don't want, right? So I'm going to use foam to clean it gently first, remove that, soften it, and then slowly start, so the first stage for something like that would be to make it soft first, bring it back to a level that is workable, and then over a period of time, start applying different, sort of products to it. So this
Okay.
really depends on the age and the condition. Age and condition, those are always the two things that I look at. How old is the leather and what is the condition? In your case, when you said if it's extremely dirty, extremely muddy soil, dirt on the surface, then I would use probably something like Rapid Pro, which is a stronger cleaner, pH of about 9.5. That is should not be sprayed directly on the leather like our standard plant-based rapid cleaner. You have to use it in a foam. And we
Okay.
do supply an empty foamer with it. Use that to clean it. And then again, evaluate the condition. Is it really old? In that case, I would probably apply some conditioner to it, allow it to soak in and penetrate for a little while, 24 hours, and then a day later, just take off any residues of the conditioner and then apply a product like the dye and friction blocker. And I'd do that treatment for a few months before I get it back to where I want it. So with leather, I think the most important thing, and maybe there is a misconception here, that people do people apply too much product, but don't do it often enough. So they probably clean their leather maybe only once every 6 months or 7 months, and then when they do it, they just overdo it. They put the conditioner, they put this, they put that, right? Whereas what leather needs is less product, but more often. That's what I'm saying. What leather needs is less product, more often, once every 2 to 3 months. With a little bit of product, will go much longer way than trying to do too much less often.
Ram, do you want to explain to the audience the plant-based system behind your products?
Okay. So our rapid leather and vinyl cleaner is a plant and algae based leather cleaner. What I mean by that is that those plant based detergents are derived from natural sources such as vegetable oils or fats, and they're generally less aggressive, right? Um, Even if there is any cleaner residue that remains on the surface, generally it has no negative effects on the finish of the surface, right? This is a very important point, right? And the ingredients that are used for this are chosen very carefully. They are also generally more easily biodegradable than other mineral oil based detergents. And the reason for introducing this within our range for us was when we looked at the cleaning capabilities of these plant-based detergents and compared them to sort of the conventional cleaners that are available in the market. We found that that the plant-based cleaners were, in many cases, obviously we did different tests, they were just as effective, if not they were more effective, right? um, in order for them to be more effective, all you had to do was leave the product on the surface for a little bit longer. So give the product time for about 5 minutes. So spray the cleaner, apply it, or if you're putting it on the foam, clean it, and then just leave it for about 5 minutes, because what it does is it has soil lifting properties. So all the dirt that is there, it causes it to swim up to the surface, right? Which
Okay.
is completely opposite to every leather cleaner on the market, because all these leather cleaners are designed to push dirt down, right? They When you're removing dirt from one place, it's moving dirt from one place to the next. That's how you're agitating it, and then you wipe it away straight away. But with this, if you leave it, it just comes up to the top, which is exactly what you want. You want to remove dirt from the surface,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is what this does. especially if you give it time, 5 minutes. That's all we're talking. So clean it, give it 5 minutes of dwell time, come back, wipe it, you'll get amazing results, and you're never going to cause any issues, with this cleaner on your leather seats. Of course, if they've been, if they're in extremely bad condition, they've got no top coat left, even water will do some damage. But in most cases, you're not going to cause any damage. It's a safe product, and it makes cleaning easy. Again, so we spoke about scrubbing. We spoke about, can you use brush? Can you use this for cleaning? With this, because it's lifting the dirt, it's actually doing the work for you. If you give it 5 minutes, that's it, right? So in many ways, it's a safer product to use.
So when it's after 5 minutes, if it's dry, do I apply more and clean it a second time just to wipe it off, make it
No,
clean?
leave it. If you're leaving it overnight, you mean, or just as a
No,
normal process?
yeah, normal process, 5 minutes. If I come back, the cleaner is dried. Do I have to clean it a second time just to touch it up?
No, use a wet cloth like you do, like you
Okay,
said earlier. Use a damp cloth and wipe it away. That's it.
okay, amazing,
Use a damp cloth, wipe it, and then take a dry cloth and wipe it off. You're done.
amazing. Well, I have to try that. Thank you for this.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome.
You mentioned the Pro Cleaner, your version of the Pro
Mhm.
Cleaner. What is it, and what it is different from the regular product that you sell to maintain leather?
Well, one of
It's
them
to
is the
restore
pH, obviously.
leather, right?
No, it's not to restore. It's a cleaner as well. It's a cleaner.
But meaning it's for a car that have been neglected for years, that's never been cleaned, pretty much, that cleans faster.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's a faster cleaner. It's a higher pH, so slightly stronger chemistry in terms of what you're using. That's why I'd say don't spray it directly on the leather. Especially on leather that is relatively newer. I wouldn't use that. I would only use that when it's like really dirty
Okay, so you
and you
would
want to
not
work
maintain with it,
fast. Yeah, I would not maintain with it. That's
work
why we
fast.
call it pro, because most of the times the people who use that cleaner are pros, who are cleaning a leather seat because they're going to be restoring the whole seat anyway. What I mean by restoring is they're going to clean it, they're going to degrease it, they're going to fill cracks, they're going to sand it down, spray primer, spray paint, spray top coat, and restore the whole seat. Right, where you don't really, because you're going to be restoring the whole seat, you're not too worried if it's removing top coat, not removing top coat. You just need a product that really cleans quickly so that you can work and move on quicker.
Okay,
Right.
but let's say for a detailer, I'm getting a car that is 4 to 5 years old. The customer cleans it, like he never cleans it, or it gets detailed by someone else every year or every 2 year. What's the best product in the guys lineup to reach for, to just clean without restoring it to its full potential, just to give it a super good clean to bring back the matte OEM appearance?
You could use the Geist Rapid plant-based cleaner,
Okay,
right? You could use that and it would give you very good results, but it would take you a little bit longer, right? But if you don't have that much time and you want something that cleans faster, right? But something that cleans faster means it's stronger, right? The product is stronger, right? So if the product is stronger, you're just using stronger chemistry, which means likely it's going to remove. There is a chance, especially if you use a brush to clean, is quite likely going to remove some of the top coat. But if a client who doesn't clean his car for 4 or 5 years, probably not too concerned about that. He just wants something that looks clean again, right? So those are the choices you've got.
so
For
if
me,
I'm using,
I would
okay,
very rarely use the Rapid Pro. I would very rarely use the Rapid Pro
okay,
because I think our plant-based cleaner is still good enough, safe enough, and will give you good results. It'll just take you a little bit longer, but that's fine, right?
so that's enough to clean and bring back the OEM finish for a neglected car as well, right? Okay,
Absolutely, yeah.
that answers my question, because when I get those type of cars, I would usually take like Car Pro Inside, which is like pH 10, or sometimes I'll use an APC at 1 to 10. That always did the trick. But
Yeah.
are you saying that using the types of technique that I mentioned, you can remove top coat without knowing it?
Yeah, no, you're not going to know, right? A lot of the times, these types of processes are gradual. You when you're cleaning it, you're probably not noticing it. It's not like you cleaned it and now you've got so much color coming off on your microfiber that you can see, oh, I removed top coat. Very rarely will that happen, right? Very rarely will that happen. But if you keep doing it again and again and again, it's a gradual process, and you're bringing the car to that end result. That is precisely why we have two types of cleaners. We have a pro, which is really aimed at the professional customer, where you're saying you've got something that is really dirty that hasn't been cleaned. You want something that cleans quickly, a high pH product. Use it, and you're going to restore it anyway, so it's not a problem if you're removing some of the top coat, because you're going to restore the whole thing, and that is where that product is aimed at.
My next question is, what happens if, for example, the customer or anyone who leaves his leather dirty for a super long period of time? Does the dirt and the grease that you leave on the leather can damage your leather over time?
Yes, because obviously if the dirt is there, you're still sitting on it, using on it, and you're causing more friction. That will cause the top coat to erode off. So the answer would be yes.
Okay, because we've seen those steering wheel. They never have been cleaned. They're super dirty. They look super shiny, and once you clean them, you see the wear and tear under it, right? So I always thought that maybe the dirt, the fact that you leave dirt there or grease, that like accelerate the wear of the leather.
Yeah, it probably hides it also, right? It hides the damage underneath it, because a lot of times people come and say, look, can you restore this steering wheel for us? And they think that, oh, just a simple clean will be enough, right? But when you clean something, you can clearly see the areas that were damaged, right? Because when something is dirty, and if you use your ring and you scratch the steering wheel, you're not seeing it because dirt has filled all of those things and you're not seeing the damage, right? So a lot of the times, dirt is there. I'm not so sure if dirt is a big contributor to it getting damaged more. But of course, if it's on a seat, if the dirt is on a seat and you're sitting on the seat and you're moving around, right, that is probably causing more damage. If the dirt is on the steering wheel and you're rubbing it, pushing it, that is causing friction and damaging it more. It's causing top coat damage and probably causing some scratches and things like that. But you're not seeing it because it's covered with dirt and you can't see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your product line and the difference between cleaning leather that is it 4 years and younger and
3
4 years and
years,
over?
3
3
years.
years. So
Yeah,
explain the
3 and
system for
over.
me
Yeah.
and the difference between the two.
Yeah. So in terms of cleaning and protecting, um, whenever we've done any sort of testing, right? We've figured out that brand new leather, right, um, is new from the tannery. It's got that oil moisture balance at an optimum level, right? And it's the balance of oil and moisture inside leather that gives you the softness and the suppleness, right? And on a brand new leather, that is already at an optimum level, right? If you put more conditioner on it, it's not going to make it softer more, right? And also on brand new leather, a lot of the conditioner that is applied is not really going anywhere. It's just sitting on the surface. Some vapors are going in, but you're not really seeing the benefit of applying the conditioner during the first 3 years,
So
right?
the new
But
leather doesn't absorb the conditioner. Is that what you're saying?
not as much as the old leather does.
Okay.
That is one. And the second thing is, I'm saying that um, on a newer leather, it doesn't need it because it's already soft. You put more will not make it more soft.
Okay.
It's already soft. It's soft. It's fine. You don't need more to make it more soft. It's not going to provide. So the benefit of applying a conditioner is not there yet. So it doesn't really need it, right?
Okay.
Whereas what happens is if you look at leather that is older than even 1 year, or 2 years, right? If it's a 1-year-old leather, 2-year automotive leather, when we've looked at it under a microscope properly, right, there is something called as micro cracking that is already visible, right? So these top coats, right, the top coats that are on the surface to protect the paint layer, there's micro cracking on that top coat, right, that is already visible, right? And as time goes by, right, it only increases if the car is being used and if the leather is being used. That is why we say after 3 years, right? Um, um, if you want your leather to be in the best possible condition, from our research, what we've said is clean the leather, apply a leather conditioner, and allow it to penetrate for 24 hours, right? Then remove some of the residue of the conditioner and apply a product that stops dye and friction damage from happening, which is the dye and friction blocker. That is why we have the 3 minus kit and the 3 plus kit. The 3
Mm-hmm.
minus kit has the cleaner, the brush, the foam blocks, and also the dye and friction blocker, right? And the 3 plus kit has the cleaner, an empty foamer bottle, a leather conditioner, and also the dye and friction blocker. So the only difference really between the 3 minus and the 3 plus is the fact that the 3 plus also has a leather conditioner,
Okay.
right? And I know a lot of people say that, oh yeah, but even on 4 years, applying a conditioner is not really necessary, and this and that. Look, I understand people saying those things. I can only speak from the work that we have done, the research that we have done, and what we have seen.
Okay. Is the friction blocker making the leather slippery?
Um, it makes you slide a little bit, but it's not that you're going to be moving from one side to the other. It's not like
Okay.
that. So I think yes, that is the concept. That is one of the concepts behind that product.
Okay.
But it's not, obviously we don't want anybody sliding on the seat while you're driving. When you're going around the corner, you're like in the passenger seat. No, we don't want that. So yes, that is that. But we also have a long-term coating called Repel, which again is sort of on the same sort of principles, but is much stronger than the dye and friction blocker. The dye and friction blocker lasts anywhere from about 3 to 6 months, right? Whereas Repel, the coating, lasts upwards of 12 months, but we say 12 months.
Okay. Can you use the cleaner on the Repel product?
As long
Is
as
it
you
really
use our rapid plant-based cleaner and don't use a brush, you'll be fine,
okay?
right? You can
So
use a brush, but not aggressively.
okay. So ideally, you would use a sponge.
Yeah, ideally you'd use a sponge. Yeah.
Okay.
Apply Repel, and after that, if you want to clean it, use a plant-based cleaner, use a sponge, and if you want to be absolutely sure, in the 3 minus kit or the 3 plus kit, we also have the dye and friction blocker. Just apply that for peace of mind if you're really worried
Okay.
about not getting a stain.
Yeah, because I was using another brand leather coat, water-based one,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
that makes, well, initially that makes the seat really slippery, which I'm not used to. But after maybe a couple drive, it levels, it gets better. But yeah, so I really just don't love the conditioner that makes with silicone that makes the leather shiny, or they really change the feel of the leather. Not a fan of that.
yeah,
So I'm still searching for
yeah.
that
No,
perfect one.
yeah. I think you should, try our leather conditioner. I don't know if you've got one, but if you try it, you'll see that it doesn't leave a very sort of a sticky finish or anything like that. You almost won't feel that it's there.
Does it darkens? Does it change the look as well of the leather?
Not particularly. Obviously, any conditioner, any oil-based product will add a little bit of gloss to the surface, but it also depends on how much you apply. So if
Okay.
you apply too much product, then it's going to be shiny, right? But if you apply a very small amount, you'll be fine.
Okay. And what about the seat on the right side, on the passenger side, or on the back, where maybe there's less people sitting there over time? Do you still consider them
Yeah,
as less than 3 years when there's people there twice a week? It's difficult to say, I guess,
yeah.
but what's your take on this?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily people sitting on it. There is something called this environmental effect as well, just heat, light, things like that. So I would treat the whole thing as one. Obviously, one part is getting more, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing happening. It's still exposed to heat and light and things like that. So yeah, just look after it like you would with your main seat.
Is leather breathable? Because we've been told many years ago that since it had a top coat, you could not put anything on it. But automotive leather still breathes, right? It can still absorb. That's why
Yeah.
your product needs to be left off for 24 hours. So elaborate on that for me, please.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the top coats that are used in cars these days, that's what we said, right? Um, um, Pigmented leather's got primer, paint, and top coat, just like car body stuff. But the top coat that is used for leather, there are similarities, but there are some big differences also. And one of the main differences, or some of the differences, are that it has to be tough but also flexible at the same time because it's a flexible surface. So it has to have that flexibility. And one of the other main characteristics is that it has to be air and water vapor permeable. So air and water vapor permeability is one of the main characteristics of these synthetic top coats that are applied on leather, right?
Okay.
So that top coat is not, you're not applying. Imagine if air and water vapor permeability was not there, then you're probably sitting on a plastic seat. Then what's the point of putting leather? What's the
Yeah.
point of using natural material? You might as well just put plastic then. Because if you're going to take a natural material and then put a top coat on it that is not breathable, does not feel like leather at all, then why use leather? What's the point?
Hmm. I want to ask you if I have some like dye removal on my seat. There's a one spot. The leather is black, but there's one spot it looks gray. So I'm guessing the top coat is gone. Do I need training to try your Geist ink and get ink to just respray that area? In your opinion,
To Geist Easy Color Restorer, um, uh, what color is the seat? Is it
it's
black?
black. Yeah.
Okay. Look, you can touch it up with our sponge-based product, which is an easy color restorer.
Yeah.
But obviously, there are limitations with it, right? That is designed for an end user at home,
Okay.
but it comes with a set level of gloss, right? Um, it has a fixed level of gloss, so you can't adjust gloss level with it, right? So if you want to touch up a small particular area, I would suggest you use our professional range of products, which is
Okay.
buy a little bit of primer, the paint, and we have two top coats available in matte and in gloss, and you can mix the two to get the right shade of gloss and just spray it. That would help you and allow you to blend it all in as well.
Oh, okay. I got it. And so I've seen a few times the videos where people they would clean leather seats, and those seats have been touched up in some way, and that's where they pulled
Uh,
out the paint with it. So if you apply your professional system, do you when you get to clean it later on, does it pull the black?
it depends how and what you clean it with. Of
Okay.
course, we've tested it with our product. We've tested it. If the repair is done correctly, no, it does not come off. But if you're going to use a very aggressive cleaner or a solvent or something like that on there, well, I would imagine that would happen even also on an area that's not been touched up. right?
Okay.
But these techniques and these products that we're using are well tested, and they don't come off.
And the Guys DIY Easy Color Restore, is it like you said that the level of gloss is already set? Is it like the paint is pre-mixed with some kind of top coat in there?
Yes, it is a one-step system. So that's why it's very hard to adjust gloss on it because it's already pre-mixed. In terms of durability, also, it is not as durable as spraying the product, right? When you spray, you're using our professional grade products, and the durability is much higher on that than the easy color stuff. But people can still achieve really good
Okay.
results. It's not like it's going to come off straight away.
And for the spraying and the professional techniques, do you have videos available for us to look into that process if we before getting training or anything like that?
It's something we've been speaking about, and we want to build that library of videos. We've had discussions with various different people. We are in discussions at the moment, and we will be doing so. But in the meantime, if anyone's got any questions, they're more than welcome to email us. We're happy to send them, sort of detailed instructions and help with whatever project they're trying to work on.
Awesome. And how can I get those professional product? I have to reach out to you because they're not showing up on the distributor product.
Which website are you
Well, right
looking
now I'm
at?
looking at Carzilla or the House of Rags. I don't.
Yeah, so the
They're
House of Rags will have them in stock,
okay.
and one of our plans, once the House of Rags did get it, do get delivery of it, was to build sort of a library of videos showing people how to do that. So House of Rags would be the place to
Okay.
get it from, especially if
So
you're
that
based in the US, because they will have stock of those
so
professional
that's
grade
coming
products.
soon.
That's coming soon.
Okay. So as a takeaway, we need to be careful with Scrub Ninja and even the Guy's brush. Do not use too much pressure. Is that right?
Yeah, do not use too much pressure, and do not use if it's not necessary. With leather, it's always easy and best to start with the mildest possible technique and the mildest possible product and work your way up.
Okay. And with the Guy's rapid cleaner, do you have to use a wet towel to wipe off any residue, maybe on the steering wheel afterwards, or leave it like that?
Um, um, no, well, after you clean, you mean?
Yeah, you use the cleaner and then you wipe off your product, right?
Yeah,
So sometimes I'll
yeah,
use a second, just a water damp towel to give it a second wipe, and then use a dry towel for a final buff.
yeah. It's not necessary, but everyone has slightly different preferences of, whether someone might still feel it. And if you do that, there's no harm at all. But you
Okay.
don't have to. In my experience, you don't have to.
Do you have one last tip for someone that is new to leather car, or your number one tip in general that you usually give to people when it comes to leather?
Don't steam clean automotive leather. I'm going back to the same thing. No, really, I think look, leather is easy enough to clean. Use a dedicated product. Use a dedicated leather product, leather
Use
cleaner.
Geist.
Use something that is use a no use a. I mean, look, there's a lot of companies out there that have leather cleaners. I'm confident enough that these guys have spent at least some time. Obviously, I'm not a fan of diluted APCs. Yeah, I'm not going to speak against guys. Of course, use guys. But if you have a liking towards a different product or a different brand, by all means, as long as it's a dedicated product, use that. Use techniques that are safe, and give it a little bit of time. Try not to take too much risks, and you'll have your leather seats looking like new for a lot longer. Make sure you protect them, of course.
All right, Ram, before we leave, is where can people find you, find your products? Oh, plug your stuff away.
Cool. We're on Instagram as Geist Leather Care. Our website is leathercare.com. But if you're based in the US, we have several distributors and resellers: the House of Rags, Carzilla, Car Supplies Warehouse in the US. Detailed Image. So many guys. But if you want some custom made colors and paints and things like that, for now, reach out to us and we'll let us know where you are in the world, and we'll be happy to put you in touch with someone in your country, hopefully, and help you out.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Ram, for your time. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your good and clear information. And with that being said, my friend, we'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. Nice talking to you, Frank. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.